Okay, hello everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the speaker session for OSDHack 23. Today we have Gaurav Sehrawat sir with us. Gaurav was a part of the first OSDC hackathon. He helped organize the hackathon. He used to give talks regarding open source and also did GSOC in 2013. In his professional life, he joined various startups which used to make the languages in Python and JavaScript and later moved on to making chatbots. After moving to Amsterdam, he worked as a software engineer, tech lead, and is now a solutions architect for a fintech company. I extend a warm welcome to Gaurav sir. Hello, Gaurav sir.
Hi, hello everyone. Hi, thanks for joining this conference, and I will be talking about my journey from JIT to Amsterdam and role of open source community and role of OSDC. Uh, so let me share my screen. I'll share some slides. It's going to be very interactive session. And after the talk we will be open for questions, so if you have any questions you can share them with the organizer on the chat. All right. All right, can you see my screen? Yeah, perfect. So JIT to Amsterdam, uh, it's about my experience and my journey, how I was a student just like you, who used to attend these events, sometime online, sometime in person. I used to travel to different colleges. I've traveled most of them in Noida, in Delhi, NCR regions. So let's get started. About me, I'm Gaurav Sehrawat. I'm solutions architect and tech lead at Verifone. We are a payments company. These are my trails on the internet, so feel free to check these out. Now, first OSDC Conf. First OSDC Conf was actually mainly offline. We did it in college, and this was the poster we actually uh, designed. It was from 2014. The date were April 23 and 24. It's a coincidence that today is also April 23rd. So we were, I think, sponsored by Zomato at that time, and it was a really good setup from those people. We also hired Zomato also hired people from these hackathons, or at least they gave an interview. So I think there were 10 people who were invited for interviews. So yeah, sponsors are always great. Um, Now, first of all, OSDC rocks. I would say not just OSDC, open source community rocks, right? Uh, and why they rock? It's because their nature of open. They are open, collaborative. They are transparent. You can suggest anything. Um, the age doesn't matter. The country doesn't matter. So that's the power of open source. Um, so I would go with bit of OSDC, and then I would zoom out to open source communities in general. So role of OSDC in college life. They taught me about open source development, and it's not one person actually. There were a bunch of people. Sometimes people come and go, but the vibe of open source remains the same. Even if you go to another meetup, they would have the same vibe. um, yeah, so for students, since our audience is students, I would say why you should go for open source early in your college life. I would say collaboration. Um, like you can collaborate with anyone from any country, from any region, from any language. The boundaries are just not there. There is transparency. Everything happens, on public mailing lists or chats, um, and there is no impartiality. So I would definitely say transparency is really really good. For student, cost sometimes matters, right? If they are, in these closed loop systems, they have to pay for license fees. um, yeah, which you can totally avoid now. um, there is customization. If you don't like something in a code base of open source, then you can just suggest. All right. You can make a PR, and it can go live. It can be a fork, like we have seen for Node.js, which was going to different track, and then it is what it is now. And the community. Let's not forget that you can learn coding on Coursera or Udemy, but you can't have community there. Like you might have a community maybe for 3 months, 4 months, but after that course closes, the community just fades out. But in open source, the community is always there. And you can see the projects which are from 1990s, they are still going strong. And you can see all the organization in GSOC which are very old, and they still have the same fundamentals, even if maintainers have moved to different organizations or jobs, but the vibes are exactly the same. So also open source developer communities, not just OSGC, help you in GSOC preparation, which is like a standard for open source development, which is organized by Google in the summer. And uh, here you would meet like-minded people who previously did GSOC. And such thing happened to me also, actually. um, I was actually um, I joined. I remember it was an evening where we actually put a poster in the I think gallery, and we were expecting at least 20, 20, 30 people, and only I think 7 people showed up. And we just talked about that. We didn't care about how many people would join, but we talked about what should we do next, and what's on the agenda. And then we talked that GSOC applications are coming, and we did someone has did the GSOC, and we talked about organization, how should you apply. We talked about strategies. So it's just not about coding, it's more about what's out there in open source communities. um, yeah, I actually made a slide from 24 in 2014. I did my GSOC in 2013, and I knew that if someone helped me, I should also help others. And I would open these slides. Actually, these are public slides. You can see that this is from 10 years ago. So the advice is still relevant here. The process might have changed. The people might have changed. So I will quickly go through these slides just for uh, the knowledge. So this was my project. Actually, I did there. It was on language R. I would not go in detail of my project. I'm just going through the journey. Um, so my experience and learning from GSOC was like, learning has been great. I was third year student, and I got to know so much during that 4 months time. And I learned from the professionals who were there in the industry for many years. My contributor was, I think, coding for 20 years or so. So I learned how to write tests, the power of automation, documentation. Let's not forget the documentation. So yeah, it was power of collaboration. I learned you can code alone in your dorm room, but as if you don't show it, if you don't get the feedback from communities or from other people, it's just, yeah, probably gonna be there, and never see the light. So that's what I learned. I will show my GitHub later on, and there are so many um, repository there I have contributed and asked for feedback, and now people are using it for small things. um, and better employability. um, I mean, this goes without say that if you, during your internship or during your college, you got some professional experience, and you have GSOC on your resume, or let's say even not GSOC, even if you have open source contribution on your GitHub, the employer's gonna notice that you follow these standards. And the standards is in coding guidelines, better documentation, collaboration. So these things just come implicitly. You don't have to tell that I have these skills. um yeah, so how I started. I just started with GSOC like this, a meeting like this. It was offline, but it's online today. I attended seminars. Attended Moscamp. Actually, I think that there might not be Moscamps. Moscamp stands for Mozilla Camp. Back in days, the Firefox and Mozilla were having big events, but now these days we have Google I/O events, so you can relate to that. We had Drupal Camp, and then yeah, there were guidance from other people like Atri, Ashish, Vedic, Ankur. um, yeah, community interaction. um, I think the community will keep coming back in my slide, because community is what will keep you motivated. It is what will keep you going on. Sometimes you might not be at your best, but community will make sure that you are on the right track. um let's see. So I would say, yeah, for GSOC, if you are looking for advice, start early. Don't rush in at last 2 weeks, 3 weeks earlier. Start it when the applications are open. Just go for it. Make contribution, make patches, small patches, document patches, doesn't matter. Attend conference, seminar, camps organized by colleges, your college, other colleges. Yeah, in student life you have time. That's like the key. And you might have to juggle a bit, but it will pay off in the end. Yeah, be committed, be punctual and regular. Just you know don't do it like once a week, or once in 2 weeks. Do it every day. We used to have coding streak on GitHub, where we would like have streak for like whole year, 6 months, 9 months. And it used to be challenge in our college. Yeah, submit one application. uh, you can have two, but then it takes away your focus. So I would suggest have one application. Start using GitHub for, yeah, obvious reasons. This used to be guide 10 years ago. I think this might have changed. Let's see. um, but this was the preamble from that page. Yeah, the goals is actually what sets apart. Now, my views on open source. Let's forget about GSOC. GSOC is smaller picture of the bigger open source, right? Yeah, Linux is free if your time has no value. Like people used to say that Linux is not good and stuff, but if you value your time, Linux is not free. Linux is more valuable than other closed source, OS there. And you would learn a lot. Like I think I switched to Linux in second year. I was on Windows in first year, and then I learned so much about software because it was not just not drag and drop from one place to another. You had to modify code. You actually learn how your laptop works. And I think we used to uh, also install Arch Linux, which was really hard, and we used to install sound drivers and a lot more. So it just helps you get closer to the technology. Um, yeah, it's the best place to learn, um, and you can learn and implement without any lawsuits or proprietary you know packages, skills and reviews. So you would get skills and then you would get reviews on these. um, yeah, in short, it's a developers heaven. Open source communities, world is moving actually. In 10 years it has moved to open source. Actually, open source is de facto. 10 years ago it was like still going here and there, but now open source is the de facto. And knowledge is free. So yeah, go ahead there. Now coming back to my journey again. Yeah, quality and not quantity. So this was our actually group. We were a group of I think 15, 20 people, who used to organize meetups. Yeah, so you would see this is me, long hair. Uh, this this is Arun. This is Hardik. He's in Amsterdam. He's in France. He's working with IBM. He's Anupam. Ashish was with Grofers actually. So the open source actually, is not going to disappoint you. You would have good opportunities. And yeah, focus on quality, not just gathering numbers and stars. So my 2 cents. Yeah, join open source communities, um, and you would not regret it. Ask questions, ask for advice, ask for mentorship from people. um, because if you don't ask, the answer is always no. If you ask, you might have some chances of yes or no, but um, actually very very seldom or often someone would say no if you ask for help. So yeah, I always ask for help in college, outside college, and yeah. um, give talks. Give talks like I started giving talks when I was with associated with the club in JIT, and it helped me with the presentation skills, collaboration skills. um, for example, I'm using my slides are actually made with open source tool. I basically code my slides. If I tell you, if I show you my code, this is the code actually for my slides. um, and this is in markdown. And I'm using the same slides tool from last 10 years. I can do anything with these slides. I can actually write HTML in there, CSS, JavaScript, anything. um, so yeah, embrace open source in your day-to-day life. um, give talks, that's one. uh, have a GitHub profile to showcase your skills. Like now, when we were there, people didn't know actually much about GitHub like 10 years ago, but now GitHub is there. But I still have seen people not have a presentable GitHub profile, they might have one or two. When I say our presentation, like, you can do a lot. For example, you can add a README to your page, right? You can have some achievements mentioned there. You can have some stats show up there. And then you can pin your repositories, which you think were doing really great. And then the contribution, like in 2014, I used to be like really active. Used to contribute like maybe except for summer vacation, I used to be active. So make your repositories presentable. Have a description. Have a README, for example. I think I have this repository front end, and if you see, there is instructions. There is how you can build, why, the philosophy, notes on implementation, and all that stuff. So have these things. That would make your GitHub stand out to the recruiters. And actually, it has helped me actually get interviews abroad and with different companies. Bit about my professional life. I always joined startup from the get-go because startup help you learn new things every day fast. Like, you don't need anyone. You don't need to wait for someone to tell you that this needs to be done in this manner. You would Google it up, you follow the best practices, and then implement that. And I was also giving talks actually from early on. I was actually giving talk, I think, every year. For example, I can show you the talks I have. So these are open source communities actually. Chennai Pi, Chennai Ruby, these are something which are based on open source language, Python and Ruby. We had JS lovers from Delhi, Pi Delhi. I gave talks there. In Amsterdam, I also have given talks on TypeScript, architecture related talks, since I'm into architecture these days. So give talks. They will help you, understand the business requirements. They would help you collaborate better, present better. Presentation matters actually. Like, ChatGPT can write code now these days, so you have to learn how to give presentations. Such experience helped me to showcase my talent internationally. I was approached by various recruiters based on my GitHub profile. They helped me get interviews. So open source is easy way, is a portfolio, easy portfolio for you. Go for that. Let me see if there are any questions. No questions so far. All right. Also communication skills. Remember giving talks. So which I already described. It would help you with communication skills. And thing is, the best thing about open source community is that there is always a talk slot in any community. For example, I was preparing for a talk last week, actually last month, not week, and I just approached that I have this idea for the talk, and the presenter said that you can give it next month or maybe after next to next month. So you can just create some presentation, what you learned, and then you can tell the world about that. You can tell about your project, and then you would get a feedback that way also. Coding is not enough. ChatGPT can do that. So you have to learn how to present, how to understand business requirements. So business requirement is fancy term when you go out of college. But business requirement is as important as you are in college. You have a project, right? The project has a problem statement. That problem statement is your business requirement. um, yeah, so you should you should uh, give talks, ask for advice, have presentation skills, and open source communities can help you with those things. um, what else? Yeah, start collaborating effectively. That's the power of open source communities. um, yeah, from my experience, uh, if you ask for help in open source communities, no one says no. And you would get instant like interviews. If you are at a meetup and someone sees your profile, they would invite you, as happened to me quite often actually. um, so I would like to say thank you for joining this live stream. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. um, I would Anything else from you, Arpit?
So we have a few questions.
Uh-huh.
Wicked Gamer is asking what your journey was after you graduated from college.
Right. Well, after I graduated the college, I joined a startup. I joined a startup which was making languages using Python, um, and they were using they actually built everything from a custom tech stack, and uh, we made that language for a university in San Diego, and they were using that language to write uh, economic experiments. After that, I joined a startup which was into chatbots. So we were using the chatbot flow from Google, from Microsoft, and presenting it to business so that uh, a customer who goes on their website can use chatbots. After that, uh, I was receiving some offers from abroad, so I gave some interviews, and I used Node.js and TypeScript, and we were using that to accept payments from different cards or card not present flows. So you can so when you go to Amazon and pay with card, then it redirects you to a website. So we were doing a similar flow. And in meanwhile, I was giving talks every year, except for the 2020, which was Corona. Yeah, apart from that, I think I give talks online, offline, doesn't matter. Uh, yeah, that's my journey so far. All right, we have one more question. How can one identify industry-centric problems and understand business requirement? Well, yeah, this is a good question. So the details matter basically, and you have to talk to business. You have to talk to the people who are giving you the problem. You have to ask questions, and then stand in their shoes, and then see what exactly they want. Sometimes they say that they want it this way, but it might not be exactly the way they say it. So easiest way for me, if I have to understand the problem or business requirement, I would ask for examples. Give me a use case, give me scenarios, and when you write it down, then you would be you know uh, having a flow diagram, charts, and whatnot for better visualization, and then you can start coding those problem and solution. and verify those assumptions with the business people. So talking, asking for scenarios, and then having a bird eye view of that would help you. All right. How to go about the process of giving talks? Um, so if I have to give you advice, the easiest advice is make yourself um, make yourself available for giving talks. Like commit to give a talk, and be tell your friend that I'm going to give a talk. Tell a presenter that I'm going to give a talk on this, and then you would start writing that talk. Sometimes it doesn't come easy. You might have stage fear. I had stage fear actually when I gave my first talk. I was like sweating heavily, but I think after 5 talk I was okay. So yeah, practice, be available, and tell that you are going to give talk. That would help you with process. Hmm. Next questions. All right. Is it better to work for big orgs or to work in startup environments? Yeah. So one advice doesn't fit this I would say questions, because there are big org who are also in open source development. It depends what kind of work you are going to do. Sometimes you go in big corps and you are there maintaining legacy code, right? But if you are early in your student life, I would say, uh, go for startups because they are on the cutting edge, right? And you can apply for big orgs later on. But the reason I'm emphasizing on startup is cutting edge technologies and embracing latest open source technologies. If big org has that, then go for that. Uh, but most of the times you might not, so go for startups. How were you approached by orgs outside for interviews? Uh, well, I was I so two things. First of all, I was contributing to different organization during Hacktober. So for that, there were few. You contribute to few companies, and then they would see that you are writing code. So recruiters approach you there. That was small percentage. I think 15% of time, but majority of time you need to have a presentable LinkedIn profile. You need to do a LinkedIn test. You need to have endorsement of your LinkedIn skills, and then recruiters are looking for keywords, so you need to have keywords good LinkedIn profile. So that way you would be easily approachable, and make sure you are authentic. You don't like copy paste from others. So use keep updating your LinkedIn every few months. That's my advice. Mhm. How was the journey that decided your specializations and interests? Do you have any tips for people starting out? Right. Um, yeah. My advice is there: experiment what you like and what you don't like. Um, I started with, I think I would say I would started with Java. I didn't like it. I started with Ruby. I liked it for few months. Then I started with data analysis. I did it for years, 2 years. Then I went for Python. It was a branch of data analysis, but it was more uh, you know it was it was on the rise for data analysis. So I went there. Then I was in web development, so I went for that. But if I have to tell you the specialization, like web is still the future, right? So have your skills which are there in web. That would, uh, yeah, if you have web skills, then they are going to be there for future. Like everyone's going to need a website. Um, everyone's going to, customize a website. So my focus always has been something which you can present. So I I was in web development, but my tech stack has changed. Um, I started with AI, artificial intelligence, and things, but that's like serious stuff. Like if you're looking for PhD, MTech, then you can go for that. As a bachelor, I was more into web development, and my tip for people starting out: experiment, and have a motivation. I would say have a motivation that why you want this, right? Why is this appealing to you? Web might not be an answer to everyone, right? Some people might go for desktop applications, some people might go for server side and stuff. So yeah, have a motivation. My motivation was bit different. Yeah, that's my tip for you, people starting out. Apart from giving talks, did you? Oh yeah, I was writing blogs like till 2019, actually, regularly, every 3 or 4 months. And yeah, in Corona, it just got, I got a break, and then I could not resume that. But I still, instead of writing blogs, I'm giving talks. But yeah, I my blogs are actually my website. I Gauravsehrawat.com, and that's my blogging area. Yeah, I started in AI ML domain. Yes, that's correct. Um, my advice, uh, so it depends. I need to know more about what is your situation. I can't just say that you should go for it or not. But my advice is think long term. If you think that this is your interest, um, and AI and ML is very vast domain. Like in the sense, which part do you want to implement the AI ML models, or do you want to build those models? And those models requires a lot of mathematical knowledge, research, and all that things. So yeah, it depends what's your long term goal is. Um, my goal was to data analysis. I wanted to find patterns in the data and then things. I was not like 100% in AI. I was more into modeling things. Now it's like really really different from when I started. We just wanted to get some fraud rate, and then things. So yeah, if you have, I think, reach out to me. We can have a small session and then get to know what your situation is, Adit, and we can figure out what's the right way. My email and yeah, website has my email, so reach out to me on Twitter or just by email. We can discuss.
I think those are all the questions that we've received, sir.
All right, really good questions, really good questions.
With this, I think we can wrap up the speaker session.
Yeah,
Thank you
sure,
so much,
sure.
sir. Thank you so much. This was a really insightful talk. We hope to stay in touch with you and we look forward to your guidance.
Yeah, yeah, and I wish everyone best of luck for their projects. Um, yeah, and I hope everyone learns from it, whether they win or not win the prize. The prize is just there for excitement, but you are doing it for yourself. And thanks for reaching out to me. It was a surprise that you were doing this, and I just basically was happy to see your invitation. So thanks for reaching out.
Thank you so much, sir. With
All right,
this, I think we can wrap up. I'll be ending the live now.
all right, right, perfect. Thanks all. Bye.